This episode is sponsored by House Up. Visit houseofnashville.com to learn more about Belmont's student-run boutique, located at 2006 Belmont Boulevard.
Welcome to the What If podcast. We're sharing an ever-growing collection of stories from the Belmont entrepreneur community to inspire you to start and keep going. I'm your host, Elizabeth Gortmaker. Here we go.
Hi, Elizabeth.
It's so good to see you.
You as well. Always.
Thank you for being, always. I am one of your biggest fans. I love your story, so I'm so glad to have you on the podcast today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes. Well, let's start back at the beginning. You studied music here at Belmont, graduated 2010,
Yes.
started ABEDNEGO in 2015. But walk us back through the beginning. Tell us, what was going on in your time in college, and then what was the what if moment for your store?
Totally. So ABEDNEGO, for those of you who don't know, is a women's clothing store. We're located in Germantown. Like you said, I opened in 2015. And kind of taking a rewind from how I got from where I was at Belmont to there, I moved from Northern Virginia to do music. I wanted to be a singer like the rest of Nashville. So I did commercial music at Belmont, loved it. And it was kind of always my identity growing up, like Meredith equals music. I was my big fish in my little pond at home. And then you're coming to Nashville, Tennessee, and especially too at Belmont, everybody was their big fish in their small ponds. And then you put all these fish together and you're like, holy moly, there's so many talented people out there. And it really made me realize that I don't know if I want this as badly as these other fish. You know what I mean? Like, do I love it? Yes. But is this what I feel like I'm called to do with the rest of my life? I don't know. But I feel like, that's college time anyways. Like, you're trying to figure out what you're doing with your life, or like, what do I want to focus on? Or, some people have changed their majors like 5 times. So I'm glad it kind of happened when it did, because I think it was supposed to happen then. So throughout Belmont experience, loved it, loved my professors, loved everybody in my program. It really made me realize that, like, hey, what else am I passionate about? Like, I still love music, but what else could I do? Or what other opportunities are there that I'm in the music school? What's going on with that? And I was like, well, I love clothes. I love shopping. I always worked retail going through high school, and was like, well, maybe I can like start styling people. And so my friends would always be like, hey, do you want to come shopping with me? I have my senior recital in like a month, or I'm doing my junior showcase, or whatever it might be. Or I'm doing a show out. Like, what do you think I should wear? Does this go together? And I was like, ooh, I like this. Like, I like still being involved in that scene, but me not being the artist, or me not being the person that everyone's staring at. So I'm a 9 on the Enneagram, for those of you who know that. I'm a peacemaker. I don't love the spotlight on myself, which is really funny too, because I'm a Leo. And everyone's like, oh, you love the spotlight. I'm like, not so much, but.
No, I don't.
I don't, but thank you. So I was excited to still be involved, but kind of like have that change just a little bit. And so after I graduated, was still doing that. I worked for a booking agency here in town. So I was still in that music field. And I had this like epiphany. I can like see it now. I was driving my car down 8th Avenue, like past where Baked on 8th is. And I was working at a boutique at the time, wasn't loving being there. I was like, something needs to change. I don't know. What's my life? What am I doing? And I had this thought of, oh my gosh, like, what if I opened a store? Like, I'm working at a place. I know the ins and outs of retail, being in front of everybody, right? Like on the floor. I had no idea the back office end of it, or like how to actually run a business, because I never took a business class, didn't do anything like that. So I had this epiphany and was like, shoot, if these people can do it, like, why can't I? And it was the scariest time of my life to be like, well, I'm just going to try it. you know, and if it fails, it fails, but at least I can say I gave it a go. And like, maybe it actually will do great. And I feel like that's with a lot of people. You're always so focused on the negative or like what could go wrong. But 9 times out of 10, like, what if it goes right? Like, what if you actually like hit it out of the park and you create this thing that you're so passionate about and it's a representation of you, and then you get to share that with everybody? Like, that's fantastic. So, of course, back then I was like, nope, gonna fail. Nope, I have no confidence in myself. It's whatever.
You had enough confidence to say, what if I could go do this?
Right. And exactly.
Yeah.
So that was like, I was like kind of there, you know, I was like working my way up of the confidence ladder, if we will. So fast forward, I decided this is what I'm doing. Like, I'm just going to do it. So I find a space. It's in Germantown. It was the last available spot in this building. And I was like, okay, well, like, I feel like that's a sign. Like, maybe this spot was just waiting for me. And did all the research, Googled everything. My dad owned his business, calling him multiple times a day, being like, hey, what's a business tax? Hey, am I an LLC? Hey, how do I do this? So it was so great to have so many different people in my life that really could help me on this journey. I was really fortunate with that. And even so, I remember calling a friend's mom who had access to one of the markets, because I had never been to market. You know, I worked retail, but I didn't know how you actually bought the clothes that like go into a store. So I remember calling her and be like, hey, can I just come shadow you? Like, I'm not going to buy anything. I just really want to know how this world works and the lingo and how this whole process and what do I need to do, or how far in advance do I need to get stuff, you know, because it's not like you can order it and it comes the next day. You know, you have to plan seasons in advance. So went to my first market, got that down-ish, and decided, I was like, oh, well, this is the date I'm opening, and this is how it's going to be. And if it's great, it's great. And I opened, I did it, 2015, it was in May, and it was awesome. It was awesomely terrifying, but awesome too, because you know, you think about it, you're putting all this time and energy into something that truly, like I said, is a representation of yourself, right? Like, I am the one picking out these clothes. I am the one that decorated the place. I am the face. I am the one physically there helping everybody. And it's like being the most vulnerable you could be besides like dating somebody, I feel like. You know what I mean? Like, you're putting your whole self out there to the world, and they may love it or they may not. And I was lucky enough that they loved it. So yay. Yay me.
So when was it? How long was it from when you had the idea and you said, maybe I can open my own store, to May 2015?
So I had that idea in 2014. So I took like a full calendar year to get everything ready. I didn't want to rush anything, like especially with the build out of the space. You have that time to get all that done. And then, like I said, ordering inventory, you know, I had to order, let's see, I was opening in summer. So to order summer, you have to order like in the winter time before, if not like fall. So I was ordering in October for stuff to be delivered in May.
Wow.
So I wanted to give myself that kind of space to figure out what I was doing. Trial and error, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be trial and error.
And when you opened, did you have other employees with you when you opened?
No,
or it was just you?
Just me. Yeah. It was truly just me from 2015 until about, I'd say 2018 or so. And I was open 6 days a week. I didn't take a vacation. Mondays were my one day that the shop was closed, that I could go to the grocery store and like do my errands I needed to do, or that kind of thing. So yeah, in 2018, I only hired a weekend girl because I was like, I think it's time. I would like to have a life maybe on the weekend to see people or like live.
Yeah.
But worth it, right? Like, and at that point, you know, you're starting something fresh. You have to be willing to take sacrifices. And for me, it was worth it especially monetary wise, I didn't want to have to pay somebody right out the back. I'd rather drain my savings account, live off of lean cuisines and have enough money that I wasn't in the negative. Like my goal was to really break even, if not make a profit. And I think my first year I broke even. Second year I started making a profit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So what were some of those initial challenges with doing this all by yourself, starting up? Was there anything that surprised you that was more challenging than you thought? Or were there ever any moments of like, wow, this is insane?
Yes. Every day. I mean, when I say truly, I was learning something every day. And I really appreciated that. I had never been in that space before. So even if it was somebody coming in with a return and I had never done a return before, I'm like, okay, well, you're my guinea pig. I have to walk through this return situation. Or filing your franchise and excise tax, or filing your sales and use tax every month. I'm like, I don't know how to file a tax each month. Like, what do I do with that? Do I have to create an account? I don't know. So that truly was the best and the worst part was learning every day. But there wasn't like a big moment that I was like, oh man, this is so hard. This is the biggest challenge. I think it was just like a steady stream of baby challenges that I had to meet each time. One thing that sticks out in my mind is, like I said, again, like trial and error. I feel like that's a lot of a small business, and especially an entrepreneur, is just trying things and putting yourself out there. I wanted to open with men's and women's. So I started off with the men's section, and I was like, I'm going to bring some cool men's fashion in Nashville. It's going to be great. Here's my little men's section. I have something for everybody. And that was my, goal, was to be inclusive for everybody. And then I realized quickly that guys don't shop as much as we do, unfortunately, or they know what they want, so they go online to Target and buy it, right? They're not like, oh, I'm walking through this neighborhood, like, what's this cool shop?
Boutique.
Not really their vibe, but they're just fine. So I dished out a lot of money into something that just sat there, and really learned from that, like, okay, some things are not worth having, and you can't make them work as much as you want to, and you have to take that space and fill it with things that are actually going to move, right? And that's just like, again, a learning process, truly.
Tell us about your vision for ABEDNEGO. Like, what do you want your shoppers to experience? What do you want people to feel when they're in your store?
I love this question because I truly feel like it is a feeling, and it's an all-encompassing experience when you're shopping, which is why I truly feel like, just candidly, I feel like the box stores, like the big chain stores, Nordstrom, Macy's, Dillard's, whatever, there's been such a downfall and decline in those. And I think that's because you're not curating this experience. You're not giving that customer interaction that you do have at a smaller, locally owned brand boutique. You know what I mean? So I love having a curated experience when people come in. My biggest thing when I opened is that I wanted it to be different than other boutique shopping. People hear the word boutique and they go, ooh, I don't know if I can afford that, or I don't know. And truly, even for myself, there are some stores I just don't go into because I know I can't afford them, right? And that's okay, because they have their own clientele, and that's fine for them. That wasn't my path for myself. I was thinking, okay, well, what would I go into, or what would be approachable for me and where I am in life? And that was something that was a very kind of budget conscious, but still great quality environment, that I was making local connections with different vendors on top of, finding things that Nashville didn't really have, but was approachable, so that when someone came in, they felt welcome. They felt like they could afford to be here, even if you're not shopping for something or you don't buy anything. I just want you to feel like you're welcome, right? You belong here. You are welcome here, regardless if you're spending money or not. We have people coming in with their dogs to get dog treats, and they come in once a week and they don't ever buy anything, which is fine. I love seeing them, and I love seeing their dog, So I really wanted.
I will tell them it's time to buy something, guys. Come on.
We listen. Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, we just got this new thing in. You should try it on. And then it's like, no, okay. See you next week.
Get a candle or something. Get out of there.
I know. It's truly funny. But I mean, that's kind of where my vision went, was to feel homey, to feel like you're walking into your friend's closet, or like you're getting ready for a date and you're like at your friend's house. What am I going to wear? Like, I'm going to this concert. I want something cute. Like, do you have anything? Like, I want to be your friend's closet.
So what has been, you've kind of touched on this, but like, what has been your strategy for building that consistent customer base? Have you had a very strategic plan, or has it just kind of been instinctual as you've grown the store?
Truthfully, it's been instinctual, honestly. But I think the one thing that makes a difference is that I'm present. And not saying that in a selfish way, like, oh, it's all about me. It's not, but it's my company. And I think me being there physically and building these one-on-one relationships is something that's really special. Because I'm not just pushing it off to an employee that changes every time. Like, I build these relationships with these people. I know their life. I know that they're going on vacation this month, or they just got back from a work trip. But also being on top of what's going on in the world with like marketing wise is so important. For the longest time, I was like, I don't want to do social media. I just like don't want to invest my time in that. Like, listen, I got into this world, this job, what I'm doing, what I'm passionate about, because I wanted to do that. I didn't want to have to be like a content creator or a social media manager on top of all that. But in the world that we're in, you have to wear so many hats that you do have to be that, right? Like, you got to do it. You got to get yourself out there. And I feel like a lot of companies don't take full advantage of that, and they're really missing out on target markets and people that might not just know who they are. I mean, our city is so big, and there's a lot of times I'll say something, or a company, they're like, oh, I've lived here for 15 years. I've never heard of that. I'm like, okay, well, wow. But then the same goes for me too. You know, people will be like, I've lived in this neighborhood for 5 years and I'm just learning about you guys. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a me problem, because how are you just now hearing about us? Like, so then that turns it back on myself and be like, okay, well, then what can I do better to get my name out there more? So it's always like, it's always just like feeling and going and learning what's going to work. And I think it's truly a combination of everything, right? Like, except like print. I feel like print's dead and nobody reads print, but
yeah, you're not putting flyers in mailboxes.
No, not anymore. And 9 times out of 10, they just go in the recycling. So
yeah,
that's
true. How do you keep your operations organized?
Elizabeth, that is a fantastic question. Let's rephrase that. And do you keep your operations organized? You know, I am and this is just me being transparent and honest, I am such an ADD person, like I truly diagnosed with ADD. So I am kind of all over the place when it comes to things, and I do the best that I can when I can, but there are definitely things that I still need to work on. Don't we all in life?
We all do.
We all do. But there are times this was so funny. Last year when I was talking to the students, somebody asked me what my buying plan was when I go to market. They're like, so do you have a budget when you go into market? And like, do you have a buying plan in order? And I'm like, you know, I really want to tell you yes, but I don't. So I'm more of a like intuitive buyer, if you will. And I know roughly what amount of money I can spend realistically and what my return is going to be on that. But I truly never have anything like laid out. And some people are so like spreadsheet organized and like know what they're doing. I'm just not that person.
But it's obviously working for you.
You know, it is.
I mean, yeah.
Thankfully. But then again, Elizabeth, that makes me so nervous, because there is going to be a time that just with life, I'm not going to be there as often as I am now. And I'm like, oh, shoot, I should probably get that, or like a plan in order. So then when I do step away, it's not like, good luck. got
That's the struggle. I mean, isn't that where most businesses kind of start to fail, is because it's the one person doing it, and you reach that breaking point where you've got to bring more people in.
Totally.
Or you can't do everything all the time.
And you're one person.
Yeah. But how do you keep that cohesive vision and brand and messaging if it's all just up in your head?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I myself am really working on that, because we just recently hired a manager. So she's been with us almost a year. It'll be a year in September. So throughout that year, I've really been trying to do more like manuals, and this is how we do this, and have a little bit more structure with how I operate, because like you said, I never had to tell anybody. It was all just me. So I would just do it. But then now that I'm in that, new stage, I'm like, okay, how do we transition this a little bit easier?
Yes. But what you've been very good at is just going out and doing it and not overthinking everything. Yeah. So many of our younger entrepreneurs get stuck on the whiteboard or stuck in the business plan, and they will spend all 4 years of their time in college reworking their business plan before they ever actually go out and do anything. And by the time you go get out there, everything changes. Once you start taking one step, you don't know where you're going. There's no way for you to do enough research to know what it's going to look like. So just go, follow your gut, have that grit and that excitement, and just keep pushing forward.
Yes.
And I think you're a really good example of that.
Thank you. I mean, you're right. There's only so much you can learn in a book. Right? There's only so much you can learn in a classroom until you actually get out and do it. And that's where I think mentorship comes into play. Like, I called a friend who opened a store in Franklin that I used to work at the boutique with, and I said, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I would love, if it's okay with you, to pick your brain and just to sit there. And I would just be in her back office, and I would just sit with like my notepad and observe what she was doing. And then she would like tell me like, oh, this is where we order our bags from. I'm like, okay, bags. I'll write that down. I'm going to do that. And same with like the market lady, my friend's mom, and just finding those people that can give you that real world experience, because that's going to be so invaluable when you are actually physically out there doing it. But you have to be able to be willing to do it and like get out there and not be afraid. Everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid of failure. But like, get past that and like be the one that actually puts it in motion and actually does it.
Don't be afraid of what you don't know, right? I think people hide behind what they don't know, and that prevents them from doing anything. But in reality, either do like what you did, where your first few years of working experience, you worked in retail boutiques. So you learned the ins and outs, and then you found mentors who know what's up, and you can learn from them and take notes and ask questions, And the flip side of that is, don't be afraid of what you don't know. If you don't know something, bring in someone who does. Like no one is good at everything. So find someone who is and bring them on board.
Listen, there are massive companies with boards of people because one CEO or CFO or whoever, they don't know everything. They don't know all the things. That's why you have different people that can bring in those different skill sets, and then you play off of each other, right? So that's same with us. I didn't know everything. Google was my best friend. My mentors were my best friend, right? But like, actually getting out there and not being afraid to do it, I think is the biggest takeaway. And you're always going to learn something new every day. You're going to learn something new, and just being open to that and open to whatever comes your way. And I don't know. Don't be afraid to ask for help. The bottom line, people want to help you. And if they don't want to help you, then that is a problem that they have to deal with.
That's on them.
That's a them thing. But especially in our community, like Nashville is such a creative space and a creative and welcoming space that really sets us apart, I think, from other cities, is that everybody loves to collaborate and everyone likes to work together and create new things. And if it's, at least my mindset, and granted, there are people out there that they won't share because they don't want to, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. But for me, I think that there's space for everybody. So, I talk to other boutique owners all the time, and we commiserate together and we bounce ideas off of each other. If one of us is hiring, we text each other and like, hey, do you have any applicants that didn't work for you, but you think might work for me? And just being open in that space and not being so shut off and, willing to ask for help and also receive it when you get it.
This episode is sponsored by House Of. House Of is a student-run, community-focused retail experience, providing the Nashville community with trendy clothes and locally made giftables for men and women. Run by the Cone Center for Entrepreneurship, House Of is a learning lab for 15 student leaders who manage every aspect of the business. To learn more, visit houseofnashville.com.
I love that. And I love something you were saying earlier about, everyone is so afraid of failure, but we forget to think about what the potential reward could be.
Yes.
And I see that so many times with students. They're all about like, what if it doesn't work? And what if it fails? And what if I lose everything? And the flip side of that is like, what if it works? And we at Belmont, we have so many successful alums such as you who are doing amazing things that you absolutely love to do. You own your time, you own your store. It's like the scary part is what you said of this is you and you have to be so vulnerable.
Totally.
ABEDNEGO is Meredith. But the flip side of that is when it works, you get to really take full credit and see the fruits of your labor. And I'm sure there's so much pride and confidence and just amazing things that come from that. And a lot of times you can be actually way more financially successful than had you just stuck it out in a typical 9-to-5 situation because that feels safer. Sometimes what actually is better in the long run and however you define safe is pursuing what makes you happy.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And what's going to make you grow and what's going to challenge you? My biggest fear, it's not even a fear, but I didn't want to work a 9-to-5. Like thinking of working a 9-to-5 gave me anxiety. And so there's like a meme that's like, I quit my 9-to-5 to work, 365, 24/7 or whatever, but like, it's true. Like you do work a lot and it's hard to turn your brain off because you're always constantly thinking of things. But I'm so much happier doing this and just in a great mental spot, I think, doing this. And especially looking back, even from when I opened and where I am now, just as a person, I've grown so much and became more confident. And it helped me with my people skills and like talking to people and being professional and having a conversation, networking. I hated networking. I also still hate that word networking. I just like having conversations with people, but I didn't ever want to do it. I was like, I really need to go to this event, but I don't want to. Social anxiety is kicking in. Like I'd rather not. And now I'm like, let's go. Sure. What are we talking about? I get on camera on social media and I'm like, hey guys, it's me. I'm talking to nobody, but I'm talking to everybody at the same time. Like, I just feel so much more confident and comfortable in my own skin. And I think that having the store and going on this journey has really played a lot into that.
Yeah. Well, take us back to the beginning and tell us about the name of the store.
Oh, yes. I love this. Okay, so ABEDNEGO. ABEDNEGO. We had this conversation the other day.
No, we did. Don't pronounce it wrong.
Yes. ABEDNEGO. So it comes from a story in the Bible. It's in the book of Daniel. It's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So the three of them were thrown into this fiery furnace because they wouldn't worship King Nebuchadnezzar. So there were a bunch of people in there. They came out alive while those around them perished. And I really relate that to life, that everyone goes through trials in life and you go through fires and you go through tribulations and they can either make you or break you, right? And so if you come out from those faithful and just persevere through life's fires, you have to stay faithful through them and you have to get out on the other side and you have to keep going. And so I really, it's a lot like life. And I just love that story so much. Everyone has something, right? Everyone's been through something that can change us, define us, and it's up to us whether or not we let it. And I've chosen to not, and we've all been through things in life, and all the things that I've been through really led to where I am today, and I wouldn't change them. And I've stayed faithful, and like, here I am. By the grace of God, like, here I am doing what I love, and that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that story. And I'm curious, what have been some of the little victories for you along the way? And what have been some of those challenges and some of those fires?
Oh my gosh. I mean, starting from the very beginning, doing music, right? Like going to school for a major that I thought growing up, like, this is what I'm meant to do. This was my purpose. And this was the gift that God gave me. So if I'm not using that, like I almost felt guilty in a sense that, well, if I was blessed with this gift, like, why am I not using it? So it was a lot for me to have that mind shift of, it's okay to do something else. It's okay to try something new. And listen, everything's in his control, right? And there are different paths you're meant to be on and what's not. And I truly believe that they happen for a reason. And you're meant to be where you are. And it might not look like what you think it should look like in your head, but 9 times out of 10, it's going to be 1,000% better than what you could have imagined. So I had like that come to Jesus moment with myself of like, okay, I'm going to stop feeling guilty about not doing music and really move and embrace and lean into this new path that I feel like I'm meant to take, that I'm being called to do. So that was like a really big one for me and I want kids, I want the youths, the youths. I want students to know, like, it's okay to change your mind. Like, it's okay to switch gears. It's okay if you're going to school for one thing and you're majoring in something to not okay, well, I feel weird saying this, but like, I didn't use my degree and that's okay. But things happen, right? And life comes and you make different decisions. And, but I think that's the beauty of it is figuring it out along the way. And that was one of my big, like, trials, if you will, fires in life.
Yeah.
Was having that moment with myself to be like, it's okay.
Yeah.
So
you didn't use your degree in a very like straight line way.
No.
But how did your time at Belmont impact where you are today and kind of lead you to where you are?
I mean, just relationships alone and the experience that I had, lessons that I've learned from there and that still carry on now. I mean, some of my closest friendships are people I went to school with and that still live here. And I love them dearly. And I'm so grateful that I met them. And just having a open, welcoming space to kind of figure out who you are and what you want to do. And I felt like there were so many different professors and faculty that really did help you and foster your creativity or your music or your writing, whatever you want to do. And we're really those cheerleaders for you to help you on your path of wherever that path may be. And it might change like mine did, but it's those fundamental things that you're learning, especially at that age and how vulnerable you are in your like early 20s and like figuring yourself out. It was so nice to have such a support system at Belmont to help get you on that path, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I think of college as this 4-year period of just trying things, learning things. It's like the whole learning process, the whole higher education process isn't about, or it shouldn't be about, drilling down specific concepts or definitions into someone's brain and having them memorize the answers. It really is about opening your brain, opening your ability to think critically. That's the benefit of college. And had you not been in this music program, you wouldn't have known the people that you ended up styling. And even just thinking of the music curriculum and the creativity involved, the performance involved, the people skills involved, like those absolutely translate to where you are today. So it's 100%. So not a waste,
No, not at all. Would never think that. And it led me to a city that I will call forever home, and that's something else that's so special, that I love Nashville and I love the community that we have here. It's unlike any other, truly.
I know. I think so many people think if I don't do exactly what my major was in college, then college is a waste of time and money.
Not.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not.
Well, let's talk a little bit about like what you're doing now at Belmont, because you're back on campus. Yes. You're one of our entrepreneurs in residence now for a second year in a row. Woo! I would love to just hear like your general thoughts about being an entrepreneur in residence, supporting young entrepreneurs, the learning process through mentorship. Just tell us about it.
I love it. So, like I said earlier, mentors played such a huge role in where I am and how I got to where I am. And so I'm so excited to be that or have an opportunity to be that to somebody else. Because like I said, I think that's kind of where you take it out of the classroom, right? Like you're still on campus, but you're talking to somebody that has that real life experience. So please come talk to me. I'm nice. I like to hear ideas. I will give you honest feedback. And also like working with the stores this semester and this year. I feel like I didn't really get to do that last year. So I'm super pumped about working with House of and Well Things and kind of revamping.
Yeah.
And what's going on. Like, it's going to be so good. And having like the student staff come back in and be like, oh my gosh, I want them to feel like they're honored to work there. They're like, I am so excited to be a part of this. And like, I get to spend my time here. Oh, how cool is that? Like want them to be excited about it and jazzed. Be like, man, let me tell you about my job on campus. It's at House of, it's the coolest job on campus. The end.
The end. Mm-hmm. Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. I'm a part of it. Boom.
So for anybody listening who is not aware, Belmont has a really unique program on campus. We have 2 retail stores that are actually on the edge of campus. They're public facing. They're very accessible to the Nashville community. They're not just hidden in the middle of campus, but we have 2 retail stores and students come together, develop a business plan, launch that business in that space, and then run the business. And so it's a very experiential learning opportunity for students to take what they're learning in the classroom, put it into practice, launch a business, and then run every aspect of the business from marketing to finance, inventory, leadership. There's amazing opportunities. And at the end of the day, they're 2 retail businesses. So one of the coolest things is when customers come in and they don't know that it's student run. I think that's just such a home run when people say, wait, this is a learning lab for students.
Yeah. Like how
it's
cool
really
is
fun.
That? And to be able to have access to something like that, like granted, I didn't know I wanted to do this, but if I did back then to be like, I can get hands-on experience actually running a small business. That's incredible.
It's incredible. Yep.
So good.
So I'm so glad to have you on board this year, focusing specifically on those stores. Yes. We have Where the Well Things Are. It's our wellness store. And then House of Nashville, which is a boutique similar to ABEDNEGO in some ways. And so that's why you really are like the guru of the year who's going to be mentoring those students. But for any students listening, if you want to get that retail experience or that entrepreneurial experience, this is the highest paid job on campus, and it has the most responsibility.
Yeah.
Definitely the most rewarding job. I know I'm biased, but it's an amazing opportunity. So we're going to have a lot of fun this year working on that.
Cannot wait. It's going to be so good.
Here's a question.
Okay. Okay. Lay it on me.
How much is music still a part of your life? Are you able to sing at all, or do you get to dive into any of that?
Unfortunately, not so much, which is kind of sad. I was thinking about this the other day. I was talking to Matt, who's my husband, about it. And I was like, man, I wish I could get more involved with singing again. I do miss it. And I miss that outlet, but I feel like I kind of just switched my outlets, honestly. Like music was my outlet then, clothing and the business is my outlet now for being creative, which is really nice. So I still get that fix of being creative and that creativity. But I do some mean karaoke. Hey.
Nice.
Miss Kelly's Lipstick Lounge. Let's go. And
what's your go-to karaoke song?
Oh my gosh. I knew you were going to ask this. Not like right before I did this podcast, but when we were talking about karaoke. This is so embarrassing, and you don't have to put this on the podcast if you want to. But Matt's traveling for work, he's in Dallas. And I was sitting on the couch last night, and my friend Jess, we had like a team game night at my house on Friday. And we were talking about karaoke and like, let's go all as a team, let's go to karaoke. And I was like, oh, it'd be so fun. And it made me think like, I don't have a go-to karaoke song. And then I sat here last night, no joke, scrolling the internet for like top women karaoke songs. And I was like trying to sing to them, be like, is this the one? Is this the one? Like, I kid you not. I came up to be like Tina Turner, What's Love Got to Do with It?
Ooh, that'd be good.
Which is a great one. Amy Winehouse, Valerie, also a great one.
Oh,
so
okay.
I did jazz at Belmont, so I was in Jasmine. And anything with that kind of like jazzy undertone, I'm all about that life. Yeah, but that's so funny. I was literally just doing that.
That is amazing. And nerdy and amazing. And I love it.
So nerdy, like being prepared. I'm type A. I like to have a plan.
Yes. I think like one of the challenges with kind of a challenge of being an adult, but also of being an entrepreneur is you've got something that's like so all encompassing. And how do you really find balance in life? And when you've got hobbies and other skills and talents and friends and exercise, and your job can take up so much of your time.
Totally.
And when you run the business, you own it. So I'm sure you could go all day. Like it never stops.
All day.
How do you kind of balance like your days, and how do you make sure you're doing the things that are good for you, but also the things that are good for your business?
It's hard. Like, I'll just be honest, like it's hard. We like to call it work-life harmony, because I don't think there will ever be a work-life balance when you use that word balance. So I like to incorporate the harmony aspect into it. I saw that from Matt. Shout out.
I like that.
But that's really it, right? It's like, it's finding that time for yourself and turning your brain off so you're not burnt out. And that's what happened with me. I got to a point, I was running the business by myself for so many years, never took a day off, didn't have a vacation, working every weekend. And I think I talked about this to the fashion department. And I was like, it got to a point where I would see somebody walking down the street, like in front of the window. And I would say to myself, like, please don't come in. Please don't come in. And then when they did, I was like, oh, hi. Like, that is me not being my most authentic self. Like, that's some BS. And I never want to have that feeling, but I was so tired and I was so burnt out. I just didn't have any energy to give anymore. And I wasn't fulfilling my cup was not filled with joy of things that I was finding joy in, right? Like I was just grinding and grinding. And it gets to a point where you're like, I just can't grind anymore. I can't do it. Yeah. So that's when I knew that moment I needed to hire somebody. Like I need some help because I can't do this by myself anymore. And once I got my weekend girl, I actually took time to like not do work. I would go out on a Saturday day and like, I don't know, do whatever I wanted, which was insane. And I kind of forgot what to do even because I was like, well, I'm working. What? Well, not working? Like, what do people do on the weekends? I don't even know. I can go somewhere? Whoa. So that was really good. And it takes a second to get there. It's whenever you feel comfortable and confident to take that baby step back, to give up a little bit of control. And that's hard. It's hard to give up control. This is something you've built from the ground up. But when you get to that place and putting that back into yourself so that you then can be your best self for your business and for your customer base, you have to. And I've implemented cutoff times. So like I put on my do not disturb now, and I don't take phone calls, emails, anything after 7 p.m. Like that's it. 7 p.m. and I get back on at 8 a.m. But like I really value my time, and time is important. And two, like same goes, like this is such a big thing for people now. The social media, instant gratification, right? Like we now have this direct line of communication to businesses, regardless of what you're doing, but anyone can shoot you a DM and be like, do you have this in stock? What color does this come in? Do you think this would look good on me? blah, 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 blah. What time are you open till? Blah, blah. All these questions are firing at you and they expect a response immediately. And because that's the world we live in, right? But you have to pause and know, okay, I am open. My business hours are from 11 to 5. From 11 to 5, I will be answering DMs. I don't answer. I try not to answer DMs after hours because I'm like, I'm closed. I'm closed at the store, and also my brain is now closed now. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Come again. So yeah, I mean, it's all about finding that harmony and putting yourself first, and you have to be selfish because your time is valuable. I think so too. Does that make sense?
It does. What do you think are some of the newer trends, or where is this whole industry headed? I guess this is a larger question, but Nashville is in this massive growth phase where we have 100 new people coming here a day. Businesses are booming. Everything is just exploding in Nashville. It's like the it city right now. At the same time, it's like everything's also moving online. We're getting exactly what you're saying. Like everybody wants instant gratification, instant feedback. We are the Amazon generation. Everything is e-commerce, like needing it immediately. And so what I think is really amazing about what you've done is that you've created this customer experience where people want to come to the store in a world where, a lot of people would say like retail is dying because everything's online. You've created something that's worth going to and that is actually growing. I know you doubled your store space a couple of years ago. So, but yeah, I guess just a very broad, very large question, but what do you see are some of the trends with where Nashville's headed? And then specifically in the fashion industry, obviously it's very relationship driven, but where are we all headed in the next 5 or so years?
I mean, that's a great question. And I think too, COVID had such a huge part in that you weren't able to go out places. Like you weren't able to shop or to feel or try things on even. Like I think Zara and Green Hills like just reopened their fitting rooms from 2020. Like that's insane to me. So pivoting, right? Like that was our favorite word of the COVID was pivot. How are we going to pivot? And I think Nashville specifically is a little bit different than other cities too, because I think we put such an emphasis on local and supporting small, which is really refreshing. And not every city is like that. So you can tend to get lost, I think. But retail specifically, I mean, it goes back to what you said, that experience and creating that customer experience and forming those relationships. And also having like a tangible thing, because people still like to go places, right? Like they like the experience of, well, I'm going to go to brunch and then I'm going to walk around the neighborhood, or we're such a tourist driven town, right? Like I'm going on vacation. I'm coming to Nashville. Shopping is always one of those things that's going to be on the list of activities to do regardless, right? Like we're going to go eat, drink, shop, repeat, rinse and repeat. So I think for us, luckily, we're not going to see any dips, let's say. Like I know this recession and all this talk is coming, but I feel like it's not going to be bad in Nashville because we still are such, like you said, an it city and an it place. Right. And more people are going to feel it than others, of course. But, I think we're really fortunate in the fact that we do live in a city that is growing so much. Like as much as growing can cause growing pains and all these things, right? There's always pros and cons, but I think generally it's a good thing, and it's helping our economy. And then I also think people are really starting to put an emphasis on more ethically produced and environmental impacts that fashion is having. So especially with my generation, like I know the Gen Zers still do a lot of like Shein and fast fashion and things that, cause a lot of environmental problems and work problems for people that work there. So I think as our generations are going, especially for our generation, I think more of emphasis is being put on that ethically produced, slower fashion, and that quality over quantity. And I think that's where you're going to find the boutique still being relevant, is that curated quality over quantity experience that you're going to have over just like, boop, Amazon, I can wear it one time, goodbye, you know, or something like that.
Totally. Yeah. Okay, so I always ask this question. What would be your advice to younger entrepreneurs, people who are just starting out, who have an idea, maybe they are scared to take the next step? What would you say to them?
I would say get a plan in order and make it a tangible, realistic plan. Not something like, well, in 5 years, I'm going to be this. Okay, whoa. You know, I hope you are there. However, what steps can you do now to get you to where you want to be? So like, let's make a goal for like a month from now. I want to be able to do X, Y, Z and have that ready to go. I want to get my business plan ready. I want to apply to be whatever, right? Like having goals for yourself that you're not setting yourself for an unrealistic expectation, right? Like being realistic with yourself. Because also like you're in school, you're in college, and you also want to have fun and have a life, and you're only in college once, right? So like enjoy it, but also work towards your goal and your dream is so important. Getting a mentor, do it. Find somebody, reach out, make those connections. Don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. The worst thing that they can say is, no, I don't have time. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate your consideration. Boom. On to the next one. Like, who else are you looking to work with, right? And two, like, don't be afraid to do it. That's my biggest thing. It's like, don't let fear hold you back. It's okay to fail. That's how we grow. We grow through our failures. And if you look at it that way, instead of saying that, you know, I'm going to be crushed and I'm not good at anything. You know, this one thing didn't work, so I'm not going to be able to do anything else. That's not true. Like, we are gifted in so many different ways. And like I said before, it might not look like what you think it did. And that's okay. But like lean into that, grow from that, learn from that. And then again, it might be awesome and you might succeed beyond your wildest dreams. So like do it, go for it, for sure.
What If is brought to you by the Cohn Center for Entrepreneurship at Belmont University's Massey College of Business. Named by Skill Survey as a top 5 career-ready business school, Belmont's Massey College of Business can launch you toward the career of your dreams. Visit belmont.edu/business for your next big step.
Okay, do you have time for some rapid fire questions?
Ooh, okay. Yeah, let's go.
Buckle up.
Okay.
What is your favorite color combination?
Oh, okay. I'm a sucker for like a terracotta mauve cream blended situation. Kind of like behind me, we have like the mauves with terracottas. I love like a jewel tone thrown in there too. That's me. And I like color now, which is so funny because I would always wear neutrals, like black, white, that was it. And now I'm like, ooh, I love a color. Like I have a purple coffee table book. Who does that? I do now. It's crazy. Not a fair answer, but
I love it. I knew it was going to be something very good. Terracotta mauve. I love the painting behind you, by the way.
Thank you.
Yes, it's awesome. Okay, favorite musical? Musical lady?
Oh my God, that's so hard. Ooh, okay. We went to New York a couple years ago and we saw Beetlejuice on Broadway.
Oh, fun.
It was so good. Like, I don't think that's like my favorite musical of all time, but I will say like it was very well done and I was very impressed. Also love The Greatest Showman. That's not really like a technical musical, but musical-ish. That was our second date. Matt and we watched The Greatest Showman and he cried. It's fine.
I love it.
That's how I knew. I was like, ooh, he's a keeper.
He's the one.
He's crying during The Greatest Showman.
Ben and I saw Spider-Man on Broadway, so...
Oh, yes.
It's all about compromise. It's compromise.
But I love any musical. I mean, listen, they're all great. Phantom of the Opera, we can go old school, you know. They're great.
What's the best cocktail in Nashville?
Elizabeth, this is a very hard question. Okay, so I will say there is one that I get all the time if we go to this place. It's at Ernest in Wedgwood, Houston. Mm-hmm. It's called the White Elephant. It is a blend between like a citrusy Christmas drink. So it has like some spices in it, but it's a light, refreshing drink for like summertime, but it still gives you that feeling of the holidays. If that makes sense.
Christmas in summer.
One of my favorites, like Christmas in July drink.
I can dig it.
Yeah. It's great. But we most recently went to Le Lou in Germantown. It's above the Optimist, and their drinks were fantastic. Also, Pearl Diver, great tiki beverages. I mean, the list just goes on and on.
It's all good. What's the best new thing in Nashville?
Oh, like any new thing?
Yeah.
Like anything?
Just anything. I mean, there's so many new things about, like, you and I have lived here for so long.
I know. And I feel like I'm having a really hard time keeping up. Sometimes people come into the store and like, oh, we're going to whatever. And I'm like, what's that? I don't know what that is.
I know.
Cool. Okay, this is going to sound crazy, but Sound Waves, have you been?
No, I do want to go. I was thinking about that the other day. So if you recommend it,
you have to take the girls.
We'll take the kids.
The only bad thing is that you have to stay there. So it's only for hotel guests, but you do get a Tennessee discount for being a resident.
Yeah.
But for us, it was for my birthday. So you could also rent a party room. So we rented a party room, and it comes with pizza and sodas. And when I tell you this water park is like beautiful, it's very clean, like minimal situation, indoor, outdoor, fun for adults and children. So that's probably one of my favorite, like newer Nashville things. It's so random.
Okay, last question. Okay. Where can we find you?
Yes, you can find me many places. Me personally, at the store. You can find me at ABEDNEGO Tuesday through Fridays, 11 to 5. I'm not there on the weekends anymore. Go me. The shop is located at 1212 4th Avenue North, Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. You can find us on Instagram at ABEDNEGO Boutique, online, abednegoboutique.com. Yeah.
It's great.
You can catch me around town at the favorite spot. No, I don't know.
Meredith, thank you for doing the podcast today. We are so glad to have you around, and our students just love you. I can't wait to get you more involved with our students this year, but we love what you're doing, and congrats on all the success.
Well, thank you for supporting, truly. Like, it's so validating coming from you guys, especially being a student, like have been a student, and hearing that what you're doing is meaningful. Like, just makes my heart so happy. So thank you for the support, and thank you for having me. And I'm so jazzed for this school year, 2022-23. Let's go.
Thanks for listening. What If is produced by Old Soul. For links and show notes, please visit belmontetp.com/whatif. Until next time, keep asking what if.